I arrived in Melbourne on a Tuesday afternoon, the kind of day that feels like it's waiting for something to go wrong. The sky was overcast, the air thick with humidity, and my phone was down to 3%. I'd booked the studio apartment through a short-term rental site. Cheap, no reviews, but close to the tram line and walking distance to the university. I didn't think twice. The building was older than I expected. Not charming old, more like forgotten old. The kind of place where the paint peels in long strips and the hallway smells faintly of damp carpet and something metallic. I buzzed in, climbed the narrow stairs, and found the door to Unit 3B. The key was under the mat, just like the host had promised. Inside the apartment was fine, sparse furniture, a mattress on a metal frame, a desk with one leg shorter than the others. The windows were barred, not for security, I realized later, but because they didn't open. The air vents were unusually large, one above the bed, one near the bathroom, wide enough to fit a head through. I unpacked, made instant noodles and tried to settle in. But something felt off, not loud, just wrong, like the room had been waiting for me. The first night I heard it, a faint scratching sound. Not mice, not pipes. Something deliberate, slow. I sat up in bed and listened. It was coming from the vent above me. I turned off the lights, held my breath. The sound stopped. I told myself it was the building settling. Old buildings do that. I'd read it somewhere. But I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. Not from the window, from inside. The next morning I checked the vent, stood on the mattress, shined my phone flashlight into the darkness. Nothing, just dust and metal. But the grating was warm, like someone had been pressing against it. I didn't mention it to anyone. Who would I tell? The host hadn't responded to my last message, and I didn't want to sound paranoid. I had classes to focus on, assignments, life. But the scratching came back the second night, louder, closer. I woke up at 3:42 a.m. to the sound of breathing, not mine, slow, steady, and coming from the vent. I whispered, "Hello." Silence. Then a whisper back. Not words, just breath. I turned on every light in the apartment, sat in the corner with a kitchen knife, waited. Nothing happened. But I didn't sleep. The third day, I came home late. I'd stayed at the library until closing, trying to avoid the apartment. When I got back, the door was unlocked. I always double-checked it, always. Inside, nothing seemed missing, but the bathroom mirror was fogged, like someone had showered. I hadn't used it that day. I checked the water heater, still warm. The towels were damp, my toothbrush had moved. I called the property manager. She brushed it off. "Old buildings do weird things," she said. "You're probably just spooking yourself." I didn't argue. But that night, I didn't sleep. I sat in the corner again, knife in hand, eyes on the vent. At 3:42 a.m., the breathing returned, then a whisper. I couldn't make out the words. I turned on every light and called the police. They came the next morning, searched the apartment, found nothing. But one officer, a younger guy, lingered near the vent. He tapped it, listened, then looked at me. "You ever check the crawl space?" he asked. "There's a crawl space?" He nodded. "Above the ceiling, access panel in the hallway." They opened it and found him, a man, thin, pale, eyes wide and unblinking. He'd been living in the crawl space for weeks, moving through the building, watching. They took him away in handcuffs. He didn't resist, didn't speak, just stared at me as they led him down the stairs. His eyes were wide, unblinking, like he was memorizing my face for later. The officers stayed behind to document everything. One of them handed me a plastic evidence bag. Inside was a small, battered notebook. The cover was soft from wear, the pages yellowed and curled at the edges. I didn't want to open it, but I did. The first page was a sketch of the apartment, detailed, accurate, every vent, every crack in the wall. The second page was a drawing of me, sleeping, my face half covered by the blanket, mouth slightly open. The date written underneath was 2 days before I moved in. There were notes, observations. He checks the lock twice. He sleeps facing the wall. He talks in his sleep. I flipped through the pages, each one more invasive than the last. He'd been watching me, listening, recording my habits like I was a lab rat. The last page was blank, except for one sentence, written in shaky, uneven letters. He doesn't know I'm still here. I dropped the notebook. My hands were shaking. The officer saw my face and gently took it from me. "You're safe now," he said. But I didn't believe him. I moved out that afternoon, left everything behind. Clothes, books, even my laptop. I couldn't bear to touch anything that had been in that room. I checked into a hotel near the city center, bright, modern, with no vents above the bed. But I couldn't sleep. Every sound felt suspicious. Every creak, every whisper of air through the ducts. I kept the lights on, sat in the corner again, knife in hand, just like before. I started seeing him in crowds, on the tram, in the cafe, always just out of reach. A pale face, wide eyes, watching. I knew it wasn't real, but it felt real. I went to the police station a week later to follow up. They told me the man had no ID, no fingerprints in the system, no known address. He hadn't spoken a word since his arrest, just sat in his cell staring at the wall. They said he might be mentally ill, that he'd probably been living in the building for months, maybe years, moving between crawl spaces, watching tenants, waiting. I asked if he'd done this before. They said they didn't know, but they were investigating. I asked if he'd ever escaped custody. They didn't answer. 2 months passed. I tried to move on, found a new apartment, top floor, no vents. I installed cameras, triple locked the doors, slept with a crowbar beside the bed. But the fear didn't leave. One night, I came home to find a note slipped under my door. No envelope, just a single sheet of paper. "You sleep facing the wall." I called the police. They searched the building, found nothing. No signs of forced entry, no fingerprints, no witnesses. They told me it was probably a prank, that I should try to relax. But I knew better. I started documenting everything, every sound, every shadow. I kept a journal, just like he had. I wrote down my routines, my thoughts, my fears. I thought maybe if I understood myself the way he had, I could protect myself. But the more I wrote, the more I felt like I was becoming him. I stopped going out, stopped answering calls. My world shrank to the size of my apartment. I watched the vents, listened, waited. And then, one night, I heard it again. Breathing, slow, steady, from the wall behind my bed. I didn't move, didn't speak, just listened. Then a whisper, "You shouldn't have left." I turned on the lights, grabbed the crowbar, tore open the wall. Nothing, just dust, pipes, silence. But the breathing didn't stop. I'm writing this now because I don't know what's real anymore. Maybe he's gone. Maybe he never existed. Maybe the real horror is what he left behind, the paranoia, the isolation, the feeling that I'm never truly alone. I've read about cases like mine, people who've had stalkers, intruders, ghosts of the living. They say the trauma rewires your brain, makes you see threats in every corner, makes you become the thing you fear. I don't sleep much. I keep the journal close. I check the vents every night. I've started sketching again, not because I want to, but because I need to. I draw faces, pale, wide-eyed, watching. I don't know if I'm documenting him or becoming him, but I do know this. If you ever hear breathing from your walls, don't ignore it. Don't rationalize it. And whatever you do, don't turn your back.